In this video, we'll be demonstrating how to navigate to your employee portal from your applicant portal, and also how to access your new hire paperwork and view your new hire task list. So from your applicant portal, what you'll want to do is just refer to the top of your web page where you'll have a highlighted message congratulating you on your position at CSU Stanislaus. And at the end of this message, you will have a link that'll take you to your employee portal, which on the right-hand side of your portal, there will be a task list. And under this task list, you'll see a bunch of different items with deadlines for either before your first day, during your first week, maybe even later on, and so on and so forth. But what you will want to do to access your new hire paperwork, which you will want to submit within the first week of your employment, is located right under the before your first day items. Something I did want to mention really quickly before clicking on that link is that the deadlines off to the right of each task, they are there to make sure that you do submit the task on time. However, if you do submit a task past its deadline, that will not affect your employment eligibility, and so I did just want to mention that. But once clicking on that link, it'll pull up a small pop-up window, and you'll want to click the open button at the bottom, and then that'll take you to this web page where you'll be able to download your new hire paperwork. This is the paperwork for part-time and full-time staff. What you'll want to do on this first form, the employee action request form, is check the new employee box in section B to indicate that you are a new employee to the CSU. And then in section C, you'll want to go ahead and enter your social security number, your first name, or your last name, I should say, and then your first name and middle initial. If you have had a name change within the last year, you will want to include your former last, first, and middle initial, and then move on to section E. In section E, this will be where you'll be able to select the specific taxing status that you would like to have moving forward, and we'll go ahead and go through each box. And so the first box, federal withholding, pertains to federal taxes. If you are going to want federal taxes taken out of your paycheck each month, then what you will want to do is first indicate whether or not you are a non-resident alien by marking the box or leaving it blank. Then you'll want to indicate your marital status by selecting single, married, or head of household. Then you'll want to go ahead and move to box 4, higher withholding. This box is asking if you would like a higher amount of taxes to be taken out of your paycheck each month, or if you would just prefer the regular amount. I believe it will already pre-fill with Y for yes, but if you do not want to have a higher withholding taken out each month, you will want to switch it to N for no. And then in the claim dependence section, you will want to go ahead and enter in the dollar value equivalent of how many dependents you are going to be claiming. So instead of the actual amount of dependents, you're going to be using a algebra equation that I will go ahead and type into the employee address section to find the dollar value of those equivalents. And so the equation that you'll be using will be 2,000 times N17, where N17 is going to be every dependent you have who is under the age of 17. And then you are going to add that to the number of dependents you have over 17, which will be multiplied by 500. And then you'll add those two amounts together, and that will get you your dollar value equivalent. You'll go ahead and enter that value into the claim dependence box, and then in the other income box, if you will want to go ahead and enter the annual amount of any income that you earn outside of any jobs you work. And then in the deductions box, you'll go ahead and enter the amount of deductions that you would like to have taken out. And then the exempt from withholding option is here in case you do know for a fact that you do not owe a single cent to the IRS. However, if you are unsure of this option, I definitely do recommend reaching out to a tax professional for confirmation if this is an option for you. After completing the first box, federal withholding, you'll then move to the second box, state allowances. In this box, you will want to indicate your marital status with single or married, married or head of household. And then you'll want to go ahead and enter into the regular allowances the number of dependents that you will be claiming. So you won't have to enter the dollar value into this box like you did with the claim dependents. Instead, you will just go ahead and put the number of those dependents. And it is important that the number of regular allowances matches up the claim dependents box as well, as far as the number of dependents to dollar value ratio goes. And then if you are currently providing for someone that you don't usually provide for, you can add them on as an additional allowance in this 10th box of the state allowance. And then box 3 of this section, additional deductions, is here in case you had any additional deductions that you'd like taken out for federal or state. And then box 4 is here in case you did want to opt for exemption from withholding, in which no federal or state taxes would be taken out of your paycheck. To complete the taxing section for exemption, you just have to enter exempt into this box, and you would not need to fill in any of these other boxes. And then the last box, box 5, non-taxable wages, is here in case you are receiving wages from the state, either as a minister of a church, non-resident alien, or collecting wages from a deceased employee. If any of those 3 options are applicable to you, you'll want to go ahead and select the box in the non-taxable wage section, and then also use this drop-down menu to select the applicable option. And then in section F, you'll want to go ahead and enter your employee address. And so the address that you enter into this section won't necessarily be your residential address. This will be any address that you would like to have your taxing documents mailed to, such as like your W-2 form. And then you'll also want to go ahead and enter your work and home phone. And then if you have worked at a California state agency, you can actually go ahead and enter in section G up to 2 different employment opportunities you've had with state and public agencies. And then in section H, you'll go ahead and list your date of birth. And then in section I, you'll go ahead and sign and date the form. And then to sign the form, as you'll notice, it doesn't have a naturally fillable box in that signature section. You will need to download the Adobe Sign tool, which the link to that is available from the same page that you downloaded the new hire paperwork from. And then the personnel office use section, section J, will be where an HR representative will go ahead and sign and date once they've reviewed your new hire paperwork. And that'll do it for the employee action request form. The second page of the paperwork does include information and instructions on the employee action request form as well, if you did want to reference that as well. And then the next form in this packet is the reciprocal self-certification form, which can be located on the 6th page of the new hire paperwork. And so what you'll want to do in this form is complete section 1 by listing your last name, first name, and middle name. And then you'll also want to go ahead and put your date of birth. And if you do know your CalPERS ID, you will want to go ahead and enter your CalPERS ID into this section. However, if you do not know your ID number, that is okay. HR can pull it up on their end as well. And after filling in those 5 boxes, then you'll want to go ahead and under the membership status section, select either I have not been a member of a qualifying public retirement system in California, or I have been a member in a defined benefit plan under a qualifying public retirement system in California other than CalPERS. And to know whether or not you do have membership within a qualifying public retirement system, what you'll want to do is on the second page above that form, we have listed out all qualifying public retirement systems in California. So you will want to refer to this list to determine whether or not a retirement system you've been a part of is a qualifying public retirement system, which what a qualifying public retirement system is a retirement system that will carry over your retirement code from that time as a part of that system over to here at Stanislaus. Otherwise, if it's not a part of the qualifying public retirement system list there, then upon enrolling at Stan, then you'll be using Stan's retirement code for your employment position here. But if you do have a qualifying public retirement membership, then you will want to go ahead and enter the name of that retirement system, as well as the membership date and separation date, and then the retired or refunded date as well. After filling out sections 1 and 2, then you'll want to go ahead and sign and date in section 3. Again, just like with the employee action request form, you will need the Adobe Sign tool in order to sign on this form. And then the next form is the designation of persons authorized to receive warrants. This form is here for you to be able to designate someone to be able to pick up your last paycheck if anything were to happen to you mortality-wise while you were employed here at CSU Stanislaus. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen, but to prepare, if anything were to happen, we do have the form. And what you'll want to do is at the top of the form, just enter your name as first, middle, and last name. And then you will be required to enter a primary designee, and you'll want to enter in their name as first, middle, last, their relation to you, their telephone number, and then their address. And then the contingent designees are optional, so they are not required. However, before you leave this page, you will want to make sure that you do enter in your employee home address and then sign and date right below there, which again, you will need the Adobe Sign tool for. And then the last form of the paperwork packet is the direct deposit form, which is actually an optional form. You are not required to enroll in direct deposit if you do not want to, but if you did want to submit the direct deposit form, to complete it, you will need to fill out sections A, B, and C. You'll want to select the new box in section A and then enter your social security number, and then your first name, middle name, and last name. And then in section B, you'll want to go ahead and indicate what type of account you are depositing into, be it a savings account or checking account. And then you'll want to go ahead and enter your account routing number and then your depositing account number. Then you'll also want to list the name of your bank and then bank address. And the address for the bank that you use doesn't necessarily have to be for the specific location that you frequent. It can be any address that the bank is located at. And then in section C, you'll want to go ahead and mark this box next to the signature section, as marking that box will attest that 100% of your paycheck will be deposited into a bank account that is within U.S. jurisdiction or law. And then right next to it is where you'll be able to sign and date, and then you'll have completed your new hire paperwork. One thing I did want to mention with the direct deposit form as well was that it does take 30 to 90 days to fully process. So because of that, your first paycheck will guaranteed be a live paper check that will have to be picked up in person, or if picking up in person isn't ideal, mail is also an option that we do have. For more information about mailing, I do recommend reaching out to our payroll department and they'll be able to provide you more information. But if you do have any questions or concerns about any of the paperwork, please do not hesitate to reach out to HR and we will do whatever we can to assist.